Welcome to the Tuesday Review. I'm Nathan.
I'm James.
And tonight we're talking about Green Book and Polar as our feature discussions, but first we have some news.
Yes, so, first off, Callum's not here.
He has work, unfortunately.
Because he has work, so hopefully that won't happen too often, but, it'll happen from time to time, but, myself and Nathan should be here every week. But, yeah, we were kind of listening to last week's episode, and we're thinking of changing things up a little bit, where instead of doing the first 10-20 minutes news and then doing a spoiler-free and then doing a spoiler review, we thought we'd get rid of the spoiler-free review.
Because I think most people aren't going to listen to a podcast and they're not going to listen to the spoiler-free, stop it, watch the movie, and then come back.
Exactly. And also, we kind of tend to repeat ourselves because we say what we want to say in the spoiler-free
with no
review,
context,
but with no real detail, and then we go into the discussion. But we've already kind of discussed those things, so we're just talking about them again. And I think most people, because I put the title of the movie we're reviewing in the title of the podcast, if they haven't seen it, they might not even listen to the episode. So there's no point in doing a spoiler-free review that people aren't listening to see if they're going to like the movie or just for fun, or, you know. I might be wrong. If there's listeners out there who do listen to the spoiler-free,
let us know.
Let us know, because then maybe we'll bring it back. But I think from now on we'll just do full spoilers for most of our reviews. We'll definitely tell you that it's going to be spoilers.
Always going to be a spoiler warning
before we start talking about the spoilers.
No, we're not down with surprising people with spoilers.
Exactly. So if we start talking about a movie and you're like, oh, they said they were going to do spoilers now, but they haven't said spoilers, that's because we haven't got to the warning yet and we're just warming up, if that makes sense. So from now on, we'll maybe do, depending on, again, this is not set in concrete, this will probably change.
And honestly, it depends on the movie.
Exactly. Yeah, some movies will do the whole episode, just the one movie. Most nights we're kind of planning now to do maybe half an hour of news and discussion and, you know, like talking about what's happened recently, and then half an hour just full spoiler on the movie. But tonight we have two films that we want to talk about. So it's going to be a bit different. So we'll, you know, talk about a bit of news and then do both movies. So this episode's not really indicative of what we're might be doing next time or in a few weeks. But yeah, this episode,
the structures aren't set in stone.
Yeah, exactly. It'll change week to week. So this week we'll talk about Green Book for a little bit, and if we get to spoilers, we'll let you know. And then Polar, which is a Netflix film, we'll be talking about that later. We'll probably just do full spoilers for that because there's no point in beating around the bush. If you're not going to watch it, you can listen to the review. If you are going to watch it, then you can end the episode. And but yeah, there's no point in trying to tell you all the things about it that without actually going into it. Yeah. So first off, we just wanted to talk about the Jay and Silent Bob reboot because we mentioned that a couple of weeks ago, and how Kevin Smith was apparently starting pre-production on it, even though he has so many films, you know, so many projects always going, and they never seem to come to fruition. So we were hoping that he was actually, because that's the one thing he owns the rights to. And then they announced that recently
it's been picked up.
It's been picked up for distribution by Saban Films and is it's being invested in by Legion M, which is a
crowdfunding one.
It's like a crowdfunded production studio. So it's like you invest in the production studio and they invest in like indie films. So it's pretty cool.
It's very cool.
And so what this means is that even though we were talking about how Kevin Smith's movies would be really suited to streaming platforms, none of the streaming platforms were interested in his projects, but Saban Films has picked it up for distribution, and so it'll get a theatrical release.
Very good.
So that's pretty good.
The only thing that I worry about this movie, out of all the properties this is the most risky for me
Yeah.
in my mind, especially considering the way they're taking this movie.
I think it's. Look, I reckon Jay and Silent Bob Strike Back is probably the most accessible Kevin Smith like view askew movie.
It is, but I worry because he has a smaller fan base. Yeah,
Yeah.
I worry that doing the same plot again, depending how he handles it, I feel like it could backfire.
Well, I mean, it's. I don't think it's the exact same. I mean, it kind of is. That's kind of the joke.
But how
it's
will
both?
the
Yeah,
joke go?
it's about Jay and Silent Bob trying to stop
a reboot of the Jay and Silent Bob movie that they stopped in the first one.
Yeah, and
which sounds good when you say it out loud.
It's making fun of reboots
Reboot
and
culture.
remakes and sequels while being all three.
Yeah, and it sounds great, but how well can he deliver? Because that's a sort of movie where it's like it could get massively panned because it's the same thing we've seen already.
It really depends. Yeah, it really depends on how they handle it and if the jokes about it being a reboot are actually good and don't get tired after the first 5 minutes.
That's what I worry about. It's like, look, everybody, it's another reboot, but like, how well will that land?
Yeah, because the first 5 minutes of Strikes Back is them trying to stop the movie, right? And like blasting people online. Is that right? I can't remember. I haven't
Pretty
seen it in
much.
ages.
Yeah. They go to Ben Affleck's house.
Yeah, and then and
he shows them the internet.
yeah, for the first time. But then then they go on the adventure. So it's like
it's a road movie.
Yeah. So it's like, is this movie going to be the exact same plot as in the road movie aspect?
Well, that's what I'm assuming, because if they're trying to stop a movie from filming, then it's basically a movie of them getting from point A to point B.
Yeah.
So it's like, I just don't want it to be too derivative of the first film.
Yeah.
And I worry.
Yeah.
But look, I'm sure Kev knows what he's doing. Some of the time.
Yeah, sometimes he does. I mean, he's definitely passionate about it. I think most of the fans are open to it. I'm excited for it. And he's also said that they're going to start filming on February 25th, which was like 3 days ago. So it's technically in production, which means it will probably actually come out. And, because usually Kevin Smith's like, I'm doing all this stuff. And nothing comes
it's a Guillermo problem.
Yeah,
It's like,
Guillermo
he's got
del
all these
Toro.
things going.
We didn't really get to discuss it a couple of weeks ago because I was trying to teach you how to pronounce Guillermo. But Guillermo del Toro is one of those directors who's so creative and he's just always got a million projects going. So if you look at his IMDb, there's like 20 movies that he's supposed to be doing. And just only one ever comes out in every couple of years. So you just kind of have to wait to see what he's actually going to do, what actually gets funded, what he actually has time to do.
It's the same with Kevin Smith, except it's a more of a working man, cheaper sort of prospect.
He's more like
Guillermo just does all these different stuff, and he's just like luck which
and he's
comes
like
out.
this genius, creative.
Kevin Smith floats these ideas, and he works really, really hard to get one off the ground.
Yeah, he's like, oh, what about this? And people are like, nah, and he's like, okay, what about this? And like, nah.
Meanwhile, Guillermo's just like throwing all these things around.
He's
Everyone's
like drawing.
Everyone's like, just pick one.
He's like drawing like monsters on the walls, and people. He's like, I want to do this, and people are like,
just pick one, man.
Yeah,
I want one to release this year. Whereas Kevin Smith, he's like throwing everything at the wall, and everyone's just like, no.
Well, hopefully, I mean, who knows? Hopefully, Jay and Silent Bob Reboot it's actually called Jay and Silent Bob Reboot.
I hope it is.
No, it actually is.
Yeah.
And like, hopefully that does well, and then maybe Kevin Smith can do some other stuff. I mean, one of the things is like, because he was trying to make Clerks 3, then he was trying to make the Mallrats 2, then he was trying to make Mallrats the series, and like everyone, like fans are excited for that stuff, but also like I would like to see him do something original.
Definitely.
I mean, but then you get like Tusk and Yoga.
That's a gamble with Kev, because it's like he also did that show. It was like a weed dispensary.
Oh, Hollyweed, yeah.
Hollyweed.
See, I thought that was a good pilot. He did the pilot, and then
but I feel like he went about it the wrong way, because it's like it was one of those things where it's like it was sort of like a Kickstarter show, so people had to invest, and if it reached the goal, then a series would get made with a limited amount of episodes or what have you. I feel like he should be better than that at getting shows off the ground, especially in today's age.
Well, I mean, see, I
know we discussed last week that no one wants him.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not an expert on the business, but it's like he has enough connections in the TV world and does a lot of TV directing that you think someone would give him a shot.
You do,
but it doesn't seem to happen.
I mean, like, I know maybe the content of the show might have been objectionable for a big network, maybe.
That's true.
But at the same time, like this, as far
that's why the streaming services should be eating his stuff up.
Exactly. Netflix made a similar show.
Yeah.
So what's the problem?
Or maybe that's why.
Or maybe that's why.
Yeah.
But for instance, the network he used, or the distribution platform he used to get Hollyweed off the ground. Was some sort of like online...
it was like a untested kind of new thing that
it was like some
people
sort of,
weren't familiar with.
Yeah, it was some sort of new online platform. It wasn't actually a network or like a solid platform.
Streaming service, yeah.
Yeah, so it's just like, well, like, that really, from an outside perspective, was almost doomed from the start.
Yeah.
Because if you're a big name and you're going to launch your show, you should be launching it to as many people as possible, not on an unknown streaming service.
Yeah. But, I mean, this all comes down to we live in a world where Scorsese couldn't get funding from a major studio, so he had to go to Netflix.
That's true.
You know, like, it's a sad, sad world where Scorsese can't get funding. But
we need to start a streaming platform.
But I mean,
we'd give money to Scorsese. We'd give money to kids.
On the bright side, Netflix is like, screw everyone. We do what we want, and it's just getting in all the big directors now because they're the ones giving them funding to do their own vision. They're giving them the creative control,
and that's worth a lot to these directors.
Yeah, and they're making interesting movies, even though a lot of them might be crap. Like, this is where you're going to get your indie movies and your weird movies and your violent action movies.
And it scratches an itch for some of these directors and these actors.
Yeah.
Like,
that's why they're all going there.
Slightly off topic, when Neil Young was in, I guess, sort of the middle of his career, he wanted to make an album. And it was like a cheesy 80s sort of, almost like a pop album, like a synth pop album.
Yeah.
And he got canned for it.
Yeah.
They kicked him off the label and everything.
Wow.
Like, it almost ruined his career.
Yeah.
And he's like, Decade, it was called Geffen, the label Geffen, the big one. And him and Geffen were quite close. And Geffen regretted later on, like, sort of reacting the way he did.
Yeah.
Because it's like, it ruined his friendship with Neil Young.
Yeah.
And Neil Young, like, later on, he said, look, that was just an itch I needed to scratch. It's like, I don't want to be always making the same folk album, even if it sells 10,000 gold albums, like 10 million.
Yeah, rather do something interesting that's not going to sell than just keep doing the same old crap that's popular.
And Netflix is going the other way about it. They're just like, sure, do whatever you want. I don't care.
Yeah, and that's why in this analogy, the big Hollywood studios are Geffen. They're going to regret it when everyone goes to Netflix.
Exactly.
When everyone goes to Amazon. When everyone goes to Hulu.
That's exactly right. So, like, the big sort of, the dominant sort of Hollywood production studios, they don't want a bar of it, and then everyone just goes to Netflix because they need that creative itch scratch.
And recently, Netflix has joined the MPAA, which is both good and bad.
Yeah, I don't know how to feel.
Like, now they have, like, more influence and they have more legitimacy, and when it comes to awards time, people will shut up about, them not being allowed to join to be accepted as awards. But also, now they're part of the big Hollywood machine. And also, the MPAA is responsible for rating movies, which Netflix traditionally doesn't bother with.
That's what I'm worried about now. And Netflix going to have to start going through the same rating system.
Would be the worst thing to ever happen.
All the Netflix rules just R18, it's like R.
Yeah, but even then, it's like
not rated, not rated.
Yeah, like R has a limit. Like we need, like, the whole point of Netflix is like they're not rated.
Yeah.
So yeah, like, that would be the worst thing to happen. I might actually, at some point, upload the episode we did for the old show about the MPAA and the film rating system, just in case people haven't heard it, because that'll inform people as to when we say a movie's R or PG-13, we're using the American rating system because that's where most movies come from, and that's where most movies get rated. So yeah, I might upload that under the Tuesday Review banner, so people sort of have more context for that. But yeah, we'll see how that goes in the future, and hopefully Netflix doesn't just turn into another Hollywood studio who who kind of just does the same thing and lacks the creativity, because a lot of these studios, that's what's happened. It's completely creatively bankrupt now. It's like just superhero movies.
Pretty much.
Which I like, but,
Yeah, but we need more.
Yeah.
Like, I think we saw Green Book yesterday, and I think the couple of days before, you messaged me, we have to see it before they realise it's not a superhero movie.
I was like, Green Book is not an action movie, a sci-fi movie, horror movie, a superhero movie. I'm like, we have to see it this week before, in a couple of weeks, they stop playing it because it's not a superhero movie, and they realise they got tricked. Green Book, what? He's not like Green Lantern. What?
Yeah, it's Green Book. It's like, is it a superhero movie?
Should we move on?
Yeah.
So let me tell you a little story. Anyone who's seen the trailer for DC's TV show Titans pretty much knows it was a terrible trailer and makes the show look like crap.
The trailer's not good.
Yeah. Then I start hearing the show's all right. I'm like, don't believe it. Then Nathan's like, I watched it all, it's great. I'm like, don't believe you. But then he starts telling me why it's good. I'm like, all right, now I'm a bit excited. But I'm like, no way it's going to be good, right? It's all like grim dark and too edgy for me, and it's like, I'm like, why do this to these superhero movies? They always try to make it so self-serious and grim dark. And I start watching the first 3 episodes. I'm like, this is pretty good, but I wasn't fully on board. Episode 4, I'm on board. I've binged the whole 11 episodes in one day. Actually, a really good show.
It is.
It's got some problems, but overall, I enjoyed it, and I think it did quite a good job.
The best thing in the DC film and television...
This is what I want to talk about, is that it's not connected to the DC movies.
It's its own thing.
And it's not connected to the CW DC shows like Arrow and Supergirl and Flash. It's not connected to those.
It stands on its own.
So it's it's set in its own universe. In the States, it premieres on DC Universe, which is their new streaming platform. But it's co-produced by Netflix, and so internationally and here in Australia, it gets released on Netflix, which is good for us. But what that means is the DC Universe shows are all set in their own universe, which I think is really cool, because now that all the Netflix Marvel shows are finishing, DC can do its own sort of version of that. But whereas the Netflix Marvel shows were technically connected to the MCU movies, even though they'd never really crossed over or mentioned each other, the DC Universe shows are all set in their own contained universe. So they never have to connect to the movies. So they can have their own versions of Batman, Superman, or whoever, which I think is really exciting.
It is. It's really exciting.
Yeah.
Because, in the previous sort of series we've had, it's like, especially in something like DC, we have all these shows on the CW network and everything else, where they're not allowed to show Batman or Superman because they're in films.
I think Superman was in...
Oh, he's in the
Supergirl.
Yeah.
And that's his own version. I know the CW shows are popular, but I don't really like them that much. But yeah, I think it's good that this new DC universe, they can have their own. They don't have to take from any of the other shows or movies. So I think that's really cool. But yeah, Titans, the show, I think it was actually really well done. In context, all the bad stuff in the trailer mostly works. All the grim, dark stuff actually works because the characters are sort of working through some stuff and are going through some bad times. I guess... If you don't know, it's about Dick Grayson, who was Robin.
But he's not yet Nightwing.
Yeah, he's left Batman and he's kind of doing his own thing, but he's not yet created Nightwing. So he's still kind of Robin, and he's trying to protect Raven, who is being chased by this evil cult and all this stuff. And this kind of leads to the creation of the Teen Titans, which is a popular comic and TV show and animated series as well, but this is their kind of adult.
It's an adult version. Yeah.
And I really like it. I like the characterization of Dick Grayson and how he's kind of trying to distance himself from Batman. A lot of people have a problem with Raven. I can understand a little bit why, but I think she's fine in the show.
I don't think I have a problem with Raven.
Yeah.
I didn't.
Yeah. I wasn't too sure about Starfire.
No, I'm on board.
I wasn't really sure, but like by the end of the show, I'm like, okay, I think I get it.
Yeah.
And I like how like disco music just seems to follow her around.
Yeah, it's like really disco and funk music.
Yeah. And I also like how they bring in Jason Todd, who is the current Robin. So there's like two Robins kind of butting heads. That's really cool. Who else is there? And Beast Boy, he's good. The guy who plays Beast Boy is like perfect casting. Like that guy's really good. Am I missing anyone?
No, not offhand.
Yeah, there's no Cyborg.
Doom
in this
Patrol's
version.
cool.
Doom Patrol's really... I think that's episode 4. That's where I really got on board. And I told Nathan, I'm like, damn you, now I have to watch all the DC Universe shows because they're making a Doom Patrol spin-off show, which I'm really excited about now. They're also making a Swamp Thing show, which I think if you can make a good Swamp Thing TV show, that'll be great.
And Swamp Thing is a backdoor to Constantine.
That's true too. If they can introduce Constantine into this universe, that would be great. Because there's already a lot of magic stuff going on and like demon dimension stuff going on in Titans. And they're also making a Stargirl show, which I'm not that familiar with, but now I'm kind of on board. So yeah, I'm really excited that they can create this sort of contained universe, more adult-oriented.
Which is what we've wanted for a long time. Yeah. Especially from DC.
Yeah, well, I mean, CW's kind of that, but that's also a commercial television... their budget has a limit. What they can and can't show on screen has a limit. But yeah, like I like how this DC universe, because it's on the streaming, because it's on Netflix, it can be like the Marvel Netflix shows where it's just like
you can do whatever it's like.
Do whatever it's like.
And it gets pretty dark.
Oh yeah,
it gets pretty extreme.
But instead, like, because one of the problems with the DC movies, like Man of Steel and Batman v Superman, is like. The kind of dark and grimness is just depressing and doesn't really make sense for the characters.
And in Titans it makes sense.
In Titans it makes sense, like I said, because of what the characters are going through, because of the kind of characters there.
Yeah, for instance, like I wasn't familiar with Hawk and Dove that much.
Yeah.
And then the episode about Hawk and Dove...
As far as I know, Hawk and Dove in the comics have like powers... And so when I saw Hawk and Dove in Titans, I was like, what are they doing here? But yeah, once they actually the show gets going and they kind of do some backstory and stuff, I was like, oh, okay, I'm on board. This is kind of cool. Like
the backstory episode with Hawk and Dove, I think the one episode centered around those two characters.
Yeah, I
couldn't see them doing anything close to that on a mainstream network show. Like I feel like it was too slow, in a good way. It's slow in a good way.
Yeah, one of the good things about these premium cable and streaming service shows is you can have like one self-contained kind of episode. I mean, I guess commercial shows have that as well, but they always end up feeling like filler.
But this felt really necessary.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, I couldn't see that kind of episode in a CW show, for instance.
Yeah.
Not talking about, like, necessarily what happens on screen.
Yeah.
Just sort of the slow burn aspect.
Yeah, exactly.
Right up until the end, like even the sort of the climatic ending there. Yeah. But it's a really good show.
Yeah. No, I recommend it. Yeah, so if you've like seen the trailer and like me,
ignore the trailer, man.
Just ignore it and start, and definitely like watch the first 4 episodes, because once you get to 4, you'll understand why it's good. Yeah, the only thing without spoiling it is the last episode
gives you blue balls.
Was a good episode, but was a bad finale. And Nathan was telling me that's because the DC universe, the higher ups, took the last episode and made it their first episode of season 2, which happens a lot.
I read somewhere that it was originally a 12-episode series, but they cut the finale off to put it in the next season.
They definitely needed to keep that as the finale, because Dick Grayson's sort of development really needed a sort of final cap off for that season, and all the crazy stuff that was going on just kind of is one of bullshit cliffhanger ending. But yeah, it was a good episode, and I'm actually looking forward to the next season and Doom Patrol. And yeah, if Swamp Thing can be as good as it should be, like, I'm so excited.
Well, I mean, it leaves me Titans leaves me hopeful.
Yeah,
because if they can pull off Titans in the way they did, hopefully they can pull off a Swamp Thing.
Yeah, exactly.
And I'm sure Doom Patrol will be fine.
Well, yeah, if Doom Patrol is anything like what we saw in Titans, then should be fine. But yeah, Swamp Thing's what I'm kind of excited for.
Definitely.
So I guess we'll move on to Green Book, which is a film based on a true story about Dr. Don Shirley, who is an African-American sort of classically trained pianist.
He's a virtuoso.
Yes.
They refer to him as a genius.
Yes. And he is doing a tour of the Deep South in the early 60s, 1962. So it can be pretty dangerous for a black man. It wasn't
a good era to be African American in the South.
He hires Tony Lip, who's a sort of Italian American tough guy, kind of to drive him around and kind of keep him safe. And the movie's about their friendship that kind of comes about during this time. We all really enjoyed it.
I put it in. I know it's not a 2019 movie.
Yeah.
But I put it as it's my first movie for 2019 that I've seen in the pictures that is in my amazing category.
Yeah. So Nathan's like making a list of all the movies coming out from amazing to terrible, and he was like put it straight in his amazing category.
Like it sits there comfortably.
Yeah. It was really good.
It's one of those movies I think I could rewatch.
Yeah.
Quite often.
Oh yeah. And I think it's like accessible. I think most people will enjoy it.
And it was honestly a lot funnier than I thought it'd be.
Yeah.
Like,
oh yeah, it was really funny.
Tony Lip or Viggo Mortensen as Tony Lip is hilarious.
Viggo Mortensen's amazing and everything, but yeah, Tony Lip's hilarious. Mahershala Ali plays Dr. Shirley. He's great. I was surprised at the end of the movie. I looked it up, and it was directed by Peter Farrelly, of the Farrelly brothers, who are known for directing Dumb and Dumber and Something About Mary.
There was a quote.
And I'm like, wow,
this.
I'm surprised how good this. It's also a really good drama.
Yeah.
So I'm like, wow, they did a really good. He did
really good. I read a quote on the IMDb trivia, and I'm pretty sure it was Mahershala Ali said, it's like he's a first-time director with 25 years experience.
Oh, okay.
Instead of because he's doing drama for the first time.
Because he's directed so much stuff with his brother, but it's all been like silly comedies. So he knows the business, he knows the technical side, but this is the first time he's like told a like dramatic story, and he does a really good job. And the cinematography was really nice.
It was.
When we walked out, I was like, that looked really nice, and I looked it up afterwards and. The cinematographer is Sean Porter, who also did the cinematography for Green Room, which was my favourite movie of 2016.
That had good cinematography.
Yeah, and that movie was awesome. And there's also Green Room, Green Book. I'm like, there's a connection.
He must just sign off on every sort of green title.
Yeah, it's like green. I'm in. But yeah, we just really enjoyed it. It looked great. The music was great.
The music was fantastic.
I don't know, like Mahershala Ali, whether he was miming
or
piano
actually... double.
Yeah, it was.
The composer of the film stood in for him and was actually playing the pieces.
Yeah. Because, the way they film it, like, it looks like he's actually playing. It's pretty amazing.
It was probably good trickery.
Yeah. I'm sure he did some of his own, like,
the simple
miming.
Ones, yeah.
But yeah, that was amazing. Yeah, it was really funny. Also, like the first 5-10 minutes is like a good gangster movie. I was like, I know the story goes somewhere else, but I'm like,
I like this part.
I would just like a Viggo Mortensen like Goodfellas kind of slightly funny, kind of slightly dark, like gangster movie, like mafia movie.
Yeah, I thought the same thing. I'm like, I'm liking this mob stuff at the beginning.
Yeah, no, it's awesome. But yeah, we really enjoyed it. We'd recommend it. It's been nominated for a few Oscars, I think. And people are saying, it doesn't deserve it. There are so much better films. I'm like, yeah, but it was still a good movie.
It's still a really good movie.
And I think for it to get props at Oscars, that's good. I mean, the Oscars is full of crap.
I mean, people are also calling it like Oscar bait, and it's sort of a low blow.
Nah.
But it's like, it's based on a true story. It's a true story. Like, it's not exactly just soppy for the sake of it. It's not like one of those movies that it's like it's an intentional tearjerker or anything like that.
See, there are Oscar bait movies which is just like so melodramatic and so obviously trying to get an Oscar, and movies that might be good but you'd watch once. Green Book is a movie I would like to watch more. Like it's also a fun movie,
Definitely, as I said, it's just consistently funny.
Yeah,
it has the right emotional notes throughout the film.
Exactly. Just because it tells a story about racism and sort of friendship in a sort of hard time.
It doesn't mean it's Oscar bait.
Doesn't just, yeah, exactly.
Like, it's a true story.
Yeah.
Like, it's not, it's not just sort of like that adds to its credence.
Yeah. But even if it wasn't, it's still a really well-made movie. Great performances, funny, And
I just like the fact that the actual Tony Lip went on to be an actor and starred in many of our beloved mobster movies.
Was he an actor, though? Or, like, did he just have small parts?
No, he was Carmine Lupertazzi in Sopranos in, like, 6 seasons.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and he was a character in Goodfellas and Donnie Brasco. I'll look him up.
But I feel like, in Goodfellas and Donnie Brasco, there were probably a lot of mob guys just hanging around, extras and stuff.
Yeah, definitely.
But, like, if he was actually in, like, Sopranos, like, had a role...
Like, his first episode in Sopranos as Carmine Lupertazzi...
Does it say how many episodes he was in?
Offhand, I can't see that offhand, but... He was the crime boss of the Lupertazzi crime family.
Okay.
His first episode was Fortunate Son, Season 3, Episode 3. Final episode, Season 5, Episode 11.
Okay, so he might have done some in between, yeah.
Pretty good.
But yeah, good movie. We enjoyed it. I'd recommend it. Go see it. It's a good, accessible movie for most people.
Bring
your parents, bring your friends.
Exactly. I said to my brother and James as we left, I'm like, my dad would like it, my mum would love it.
Okay, yeah. Yeah, I think my mum would like it as well. It's like a feel-good kind of movie with, like, really good... feel-good moments.
Definitely.
Yeah, but also, like, the more serious moments as well. Yeah. Viggo Mortensen's so good, I just watch him do anything.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, he's a machine. He's just eating in the movie. Like, because he plays this big Italian-American guy who's just eating all the time. I'm like, I could just watch Viggo Mortensen eat for 2 hours. I'd be happy.
In the hot dog scene, there's another bit of trivia. He ate those hot dogs. He ate 15 hot dogs.
I was listening to an interview with Linda Cardellini, who plays his wife in the movie, and she was like, "Yeah, Viggo Mortensen, like, he ate everything you see him eat in the movie, like multiple takes. He was just like putting on. He's like, what does the guy say in the Orville? Pound and food.
Yeah, pound and food.
Like he was just smashing it. Now I'm hungry." Mahershala Ali's also really good.
Very good. Would recommend.
That's pretty much it. Green Book, good. Highly recommend it. All right. Now, we're going to try and do without the non-spoilers. So this is a spoiler warning. From now until the end of the show, we're going to do full spoilers for the Netflix film Polar, starring Mads Mikkelsen. So if you haven't seen it, if you don't want it spoiled, stop listening here. Thanks for listening. But yeah, if you want to keep listening, we're going to talk about... This way, we don't really kind of...
we don't go in circles, repeating ourselves.
Exactly, yeah. And I think, if most people see the title, like the name in the title, they're not going to listen to the episode anyway. Also, because we do the news at the start of the show, if people do listen, they can still listen to that section. So I don't know. Like if you're scrolling, if there are any listeners out there, let me know. Please message me on.
We want to know how you listen to the show.
Yeah, like
because then we can tailor.
Yeah, like if you see, for instance, in the headline, in the title of the episode, let's pick on last week's episode, Glass, and you haven't seen Glass, do you just skip that episode, or do you listen to the first bit where we talk about the news and the trailers that have come out? And then listen to the spoiler-free version and, make up your mind and then stop listening? Or do you just listen to the whole thing? Let us know. Yeah, because, I feel like we're doing these spoiler-free reviews, but we do the show on Tuesday and the podcast comes out on the Wednesday, so it's almost a week after the films have actually come out. So if you haven't kind of decided if you're going to see it or not, I don't think our review's doing much. And there are so many podcasts and so many YouTube reviewers who do these short reviews and long reviews that I don't know if we're really informing what people should and shouldn't see. So the reason we're just kind of doing full spoiler reviews now is so that our show's just to discuss the film and not to review it to inform people of whether you should see it or not. Because I don't know. Let us know if you do listen to the show to see if you should see the film, because if you do, then I'd be gladly to do spoiler free again. But yeah, for me personally, if I want to know if I should see a movie, I'm going to go on YouTube and watch one of the 4 or 5 minute reviews that every YouTuber does now. I'm not going to listen to hour-long podcast. You know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly.
So, I don't think that's the way people listen to it.
If people want to know how people feel, they just go to Rotten Tomatoes or Metacritic.
Exactly. Or they don't even watch the reviews. They just look up the rating.
They can just read like a 2-sentence.
Or Google it and look at the first few headlines and see what people are saying. I think most people who listen to the show like movies enough that they know what they're going to see. Anyway, I think at this point, I don't know if there's any casual listeners who don't really like movie, don't really go to the movies that much. I don't think that's our audience. But yeah, so from now on to the end of the show, full spoilers for Polar.
Major spoiler warning.
Major spoiler warning. If you haven't seen Polar on Netflix, it's on Netflix. You can go watch it. So, Nathan, you like this movie. I didn't like this movie.
I did like this movie.
I thought it was just like a straight-to-DVD, crappy action movie, but that just happened to be on Netflix, and so maybe had a slightly slicker presentation.
I had a lot of problems with this movie, but I enjoyed it.
You enjoyed it. There's not a lot of stuff in the movie that sets it apart from the sort of, straight-to-DVD Jean-Claude Van Damme or Scott Adkins, crappy action movies. There's just, a lot of gratuitous violence and nudity and...
some of the sex scenes were just entirely unnecessary.
Yeah, I was just like... one kept going so long, I started checking my phone.
Yeah.
I was like,
I think I know the one you're talking about. Yeah. One thing I'll say very briefly, I really enjoyed the Johnny Knoxville cameo at the start.
I hated that scene. It was the worst.
But I'm like, did they just tape Johnny Knoxville somewhere in South America? And they're just like, we'll just edit a little bit and use it for the movie.
It was like, it wasn't actually staged. Like he was actually doing, doing coke.
He's just doing coke off a lady's rear end. I'm like, but that's something he'd do normally, right?
we should still probably provide context for it, even though it's full spoilers.
Okay, so it's about...
Basically, Mads Mikkelsen plays a hitman named Duncan Visler, who is...
approaching 50.
And the organisation he works for, when you hit 50, you retire. And they give you a pension, and you keep all your money from your hits, and you go somewhere and retire.
Which is a cool concept in itself.
It's based on a comic book, so that sounds like a cool kind of concept.
Like the kind of concept of it's like, well, he's nearing 50, we can't trust him to do the work anymore to the standard we expect.
Yeah,
so just send him on his way with the pension.
Yeah, but of course, the organisation sort of realizes that having all these
elderly hitmen with
their pensions is kind of, taking money away from them. But also, if they kill them...
There's a clause in the contract that stipulates that the money goes back to the company.
Yeah, if they don't have any next of kin, which none of these hitmen do because they're all lone wolves, then all the money goes back to the organisation. And so, of course, the evil Mr. Blute, played by Matt Lucas, he sends...
Who I irrationally hate as an actor.
Really?
You
don't like Matt Lucas?
No, I don't
like him. He's
amazing. I've never liked him.
You watched Little Britain?
No, I never liked him.
Oh, man, Little Britain's so good. He's on Doctor Who. He's so good.
I don't know what it is. I just don't...
Oh, man.
I'm just not down.
Man. I love Matt Lucas. He's so funny.
It's just one of those things.
Oh, okay.
I can't tell you why. He rubs me the wrong way.
But anyway, he plays the evil head of the organisation, Mr. Blute, and he sends his, assorted hitmen to kill Duncan, who's retired to a cabin.
The Black Kaiser.
Who is known as the Black Kaiser, who has retired to a cabin in secluded wooded area. Meanwhile, see, that's a good concept. Now we're just now it's too much. But meanwhile, there's across the lake from Duncan's cabin lives Camille, played by Vanessa Hudgens, who's like a soft-spoken, lonely young woman. And her and Duncan kind of develop a relationship, but then these guys come and kidnap her, and then Duncan has to go after them, but they're trying to kill him, and he's trying to kill them, and yada, yada, yada. The movie's too long. It could have been 80, 90 minutes, that's it. It's 2 hours. It doesn't need to be 2 hours. It drags. Especially because the relationship between Duncan and Camille, who I didn't even know that was her name because I didn't know anyone's name in this movie. Even though this is one of those terrible.
Actually, that's true. I didn't realize anyone. I didn't pay attention to anyone's names either.
They do this terrible, horrible straight to DVD thing that they do in every straight to DVD movie, where when a hitman comes on the screen, it comes up with big letters saying their name, with like a cool sound effect, and it's the worst. Cheap ass thing you can do. But even then, I don't remember anyone's name.
The only time I've seen that work is in Inglourious Bastards.
That's true, yeah. But that's Tarantino.
He can get away with it.
He's next level.
It worked in that movie. Yeah. Not a good idea in most other action films.
Yeah, there's so many straight-to-DVD action movies where the guy comes on screen and it comes up with like, Slater. It's so dumb. But even then, I don't remember anyone's name. And I think the problem with this movie is that there are like
there's too many characters.
There's like 5 or 6 hitmen who Blut sends after Duncan, who are all supposed to be. They're like a team of assassins, each one with their own kind of funny style and unique personality, and I guess unique way of killing. But they're all boring and uninteresting, and I don't remember any of their names, and they're not really different enough, and they always work in the one contained unit, so they always go to the one place together, but there's so many of them that a lot of them just end up standing around, and a lot of the movie is just them going around to try to find Duncan because they don't know where he's retired to, and finding people living at the places he's supposed to be, and then just murdering them so horribly. And I think it's supposed to be funny, but it's not. Like, it's really messed up, and I didn't get it. I was like, why is this taking up large chunks of the movie? Like, there's no tension to it. It's not funny. It's kind of dark. I didn't get it. But yeah, then they don't really develop the relationship between Duncan and Camille properly. I think they start doing that like an hour into the movie.
That was one of the faults I had with the movie. Yeah. I felt that and the twist at the end, where Camille is revealed to be like a mistaken hit. Yeah,
Duncan regrets he was
given wrong information.
I think it was, or was he hired to kill her father and he just kills?
There's a line near the end of the movie where he's like, that was a mistake.
Okay.
So what I gathered was he was given wrong information, or he was like mistimed it, and he killed some innocent people.
Yeah.
Because he said it was a mistake. It shouldn't have happened.
And it's revealed that Camille, who's this girl next door, is secretly the daughter of the people she killed, and she witnessed it, and it had ruined her life, and she had come after him. That's why she was living next door to him. How she found him, I don't remember. But
it's not explained. You don't know.
But like this comes right at the end of the movie, and then nothing comes from it. She's just like, okay, I'm gonna. No, he was hired to kill her father because she's like, I want to know who did it, who hired you.
Oh.
And he's like, I'll tell you, and then it cuts to the credits, and I was like, what? That's the movie I want to see.
Oh damn, never mind.
So the movie ends with the potential for a better movie. So this movie should have been what the movie promises at the end. The movie should have started with Camille, him and Camille's relationship developing, and then her revealing, like, actually, I'm here to kill you.
So the hitman shouldn't have been in it at all.
Yeah, no, cut the hitman out. Also, on top of this, see, I've never read the comics, so I don't know. I'm going to assume that a lot of the stuff that happens in the movie is spread over a lot of time in the comic books. Not just time, but a lot of different issues and a lot of different trade paperbacks. Probably they tried to condense too much into one story, but
which happens all the time.
Yeah, but one thing I thought was really interesting is that they can't the organization can't kill Duncan until he turns 50, and he hasn't turned 50 yet. So they have like 3 days where they have to find him. But I'm like, that could be an amazing concept where you send all these hitmen out to kill him, but they're not really allowed to kill him for 3 days. So really they just have to capture him. So it would be really cool to see they're all using non-lethal methods to capture him or to injure him. And he's just mowing them all down because he doesn't have any reservation. Like, he doesn't have to stop himself from that.
See, I thought it was the other way around. I thought once he got to 50 and he actually got the money, they couldn't touch him because he was a civilian.
No, because they killed Michael. They killed Johnny Knoxville's character at the start, and he was already retired.
That's true. This movie's confusing, man.
It's not a good movie.
I feel like it's all over the place because I was getting. I guess I was sort of getting. Sort of my wires crossed with this movie a little bit.
See, that would make more sense if they couldn't kill him after 50.
Because that's what I get. I was watching this whole movie assuming that
that would add more tension, but I don't remember that at all.
I guess I just assumed it somewhere along the line, and there's not enough information in this movie.
No, I'm right, because that's why they were tortured. He's like, you got 3 days and then I can kill you. That's why Blut was torturing him for 3 days.
Okay.
So that's an interesting concept, because I thought it'd be really cool to have like really lo-fi, low-tech fight scenes where the bad guys can only use knives and clubs and their fists, and is just a lot of like hand-to-hand combat and really like rough, because he can kill them but they can't kill him. But if he for some reason doesn't have a gun because of XYZ, then like it's a really tense they could have been a lot of really cool and like
Punisher level violence.
Yeah, like a Daredevil hallway fight.
There was a good hallway fight.
There was, but they're all trying to kill him, and he's got like dual pistols and he's just like mowing them all down. And I'm like, that hallway fight scene, which is pretty good. That would be cool if the whole movie was like that, where it's like there's all these guys coming after him with clubs and knives, and he just kind of has to fight his way out, because they can't kill him for 3 days. Like, I just thought that would be cool, but they don't really play with that at all. You know what I mean? Alternatively, it would be better, like what you said, if they can't kill him after 3 days. So it'd add more tension.
That was the movie I was watching.
So you were watching a more, a more thought out, more thought through movie, because then that way there's more tension for the bad guys who are like, we're on a ticking clock, and that way you can bring in the other assassins, but obviously make them less dumb, and really have them be like, shit, every time they miss, they're like, shit, we have 2 days left, shit, we have 1 day left. And this is more like a ticking clock element. Like, also, nothing they do makes sense.
No.
Because, like, at the start, they're watching Johnny Knoxville, partying, and there's the sniper guy, and he has a clear shot the entire time.
He just doesn't take it.
But he doesn't take it. He has to wait for the girl assassin.
But that adds to the element of the filmmakers wanting to include more sexy times.
Yeah, exactly. And also because they're like, we have to have this whole gang of
everyone needs something to do.
Yeah. And then it's so dumb, because it's like, then the sniper misses the shot, and then the other hitmen come in and start shooting at him and keep like missing, and then they eventually hit him. I'm like, he could have just sniped him and left. Like, that should have been the opening scene of the movie. Or, you know what? I'm going to make a better movie again, because that's what we seem to be. If they have to kill these guys to get the money back, shouldn't they be making it look like accidents? Mm-hmm. So wouldn't it be cool to have a team of hitmen who specialize in making the deaths look like accidents?
So and just have a whole movie of Mads Mikkelsen being like, shit, I forgot to turn the gas off. And he's like, turns the gas off. And it's like, just a whole movie of him accidentally...
Yeah, or Mads Mikkelsen's like, why are all my friends suddenly dying in these mysterious accidents? Like, what's the deal? And then they come after him, but he's still got 3 days left till his birthday or whatever.
So it's like an anti-Mr. Magoo. It's like he's just going about his life,
fixing all the traps,
accidentally fixing all the traps of just narrowly avoiding death.
But you know what I mean? Like, that's a much more interesting movie, where instead of the opening scene being Johnny Knoxville doing stupid shit and then the hitmen doing a terrible job of killing him, it's like they could have been like, there's a bit in the Mechanic, the remake with Jason Statham, where the guy his target is like swimming, and he's like hiding under the pool with like a scuba gear, and he like grabs the guy and drowns him, so it looks like an accident or whatever. I'm like, that would have been cool, like, for this movie. That, like, you have to kill all these experienced hitmen, but also make it look like accidents. That would have been really cool, but they don't do that either.
Shout out to the unnecessary scene where they shoot the fat man.
Yeah, see? That's what I'm talking about with the violence of, like, they go to the place, Duncan's not there, and then there's just like a long scene of them murdering the shit out of someone.
An innocent person.
Yeah, and I'm just like, what the hell? Like this is, and I think they thought it was funny, but it's not funny.
That scene was meant to be funny. It's like, let's stick a guy in a fat suit, and we'll have them kill him, and he's not gonna die, and they're gonna have to kill him again, and it's gonna be hilarious. And it's like, it's really.
And I was just like, straight face.
It's just disturbing.
Yeah. And like one of the hitmen's on the phone and he can't hear the boss lady, and I'm just like, what is this? Step outside. Like, this is not funny. This is not.
Nah.
Like, I don't care about anything. Like, you can cut all this stuff out. This movie only needs to be like 80 minutes. This movie doesn't get going until like the last 10 minutes when Duncan's being tortured by Mr. Blute, and then he escapes and goes full John Wick on all these guys in the hallway, which is awesome. Saves Camille, goes home, and then she's like, I'm here to kill you, and he's like, I'm sorry, and she's like, now you have to tell me who hired you. And I'm like, wait, I want to see that movie.
Yeah.
The last 15 minutes of this movie should have been the first. Should have been the first 15 minutes of the movie. And that also would have been cool, because then he gets the eye patch in the first 15 minutes, and then has the eye patch for the rest of the movie, which would have been cooler, you know. So Hollywood, hit us up, you know, if you want to make better movies. What's interesting, though, is after the movie finished, I checked it, and it's directed by Swedish filmmaker Jonas Åkerlund, who directed Spun, which is a movie I love. Like, it's a crazy, awesome movie. And then he also did a movie called Small Apartments, which is a really weird indie movie, which I think also stars Matt Lucas and Johnny Knoxville. Yeah. But that's a really weird, kind of quirky indie movie.
So what are you doing, man?
And then he's doing this like crappy Netflix straight to DVD style action movie, which maybe he's just doing it for fun. Maybe, I don't know.
Maybe it's a paycheck.
Yeah. But he's also doing a movie that's supposed to come out soon called Lords of Chaos, which looks pretty cool. I'll show you the trailer later, Nathan. Looks pretty dope. But yeah, so I'm like, what's this guy doing? Like, what's he wasting his time with this crap? And I think the only reason it's like stylish at all is probably because of him. But otherwise, yeah, the movie's like straight to DVD crap, which Netflix has a lot of. But I think because it's got like Mads Mikkelsen in it, like we were like, yeah, cool.
I was really excited for this movie, and I did enjoy it.
Yeah.
I know it's a bad movie. That didn't stop me enjoying how stylish it was.
Yeah.
And some of the fight scenes were really cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, but between some of the crappy violence and the highly unnecessary sex scenes.
And like there was a lot of ADR in this movie. Just everyone seemed like they were dubbed all the time. Like I have a feeling they filmed this movie in like Eastern Europe somewhere for really cheap, and then the actors who weren't doing a good accent were just dubbed over. Like it's just straight to DVD crap. Also, there was like a 2-minute Richard Dreyfuss cameo.
Which I approved of.
Which I was like, why is this here? Like, I love Richard Dreyfuss, but why is this here?
He's signed a Netflix contract somewhere.
Oh, yeah, because, it was in the Last Laugh.
The Last Laugh is also a 2019 Netflix movie, which it was better than I thought it would be.
Yeah, I haven't seen it.
It's not bad. I recommend it. Yeah. It's all right. I mean, it's not amazing.
Yeah.
But that starred Richard Dreyfuss, and he was really good in it.
Okay.
And now he's in this movie. Richard Dreyfuss 2019 Netflix. What's next?
He's making a low-key comeback.
He's a low-key comeback.
Really lazy comeback.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's based on a comic book, and so, like, you know, the colours are really vibrant and saturated. But, yeah, like, the style of the movie is just kind of boring and plain and flat. So, yeah, I think it would be better, like, you know, more... Like, they should have gone more comic booky. They either should have gone more realistic or more, like, way over the top, like... shoot 'em up, like really over the top crazy, and they don't really do that. They kind of go in between, like where it's like it's not a fully realistic world, but it's also not a fully crazy over the top world. This movie was like post John Wick Red. Remember Red with Bruce Willis?
That makes
it's got
sense.
a similar plot. It's based on a comic book. It's not really that good. But now John Wick has come out, so it's like now we have to go full violence. We have to do the cool middle-aged guy with the long hair, just mowing down guys, like more stylish, you know. Like it's just.
But it doesn't hold a candle to John Wick.
No way, not even close. It could have been really good, like we were saying, but yeah, it doesn't end up being that good.
Oh well.
Yeah, I think that's it for the show. You want to mention anything else?
No, I'm good. I think we covered all the bases pretty well.
Yeah. So yeah, if you're out there, if you're still listening, thank you. Also, let us know
how you listen.
Yeah, let us know. Yeah, if you skip parts, if you listen to the whole episodes, if you don't listen to episodes that have movies in the title that you haven't seen, do you listen to the news sort of discussion section at the start and then stop, or let us know how you do that. Hit us up on the Tuesday Review Facebook page or Twitter at Tuesday Review AU. What else? We don't have anything else.
At the moment, it's just the Facebook and the Twitter.
Yeah. Rate, review, and subscribe on iTunes. Otherwise, the podcast, you'll be able to find it anywhere. We hopefully Callum will be back next week. Hopefully we won't have to take off too many shows, but we've got to work.
Life.
Yeah, that casual retail life. We still don't have a sign off. I know what Callum would say. I refuse to say it.
Don't say
it, Nathan. Don't say it, Nathan.
Reviewed.
No. Yuck. Actually, also, if you're listening, suggestions for sign-offs. Because, I want to come to one organically throughout the show. But Callum seems to be pretty stuck on that one. So, thank you, everyone, again. We'll see you next week.